everything went according to plan, then by the time you're watching this devlog, the demo for What Hides in Dreams should finally be out on Steam. It's been a long road getting this far, and I assume it'll be nice to finally have the demo out. I say assume because, as I'm writing the script, it's still very much a work in progress, and I feel like I am going mad.
How do you keep getting stuck there?
So, yeah, it should go without saying that completing this demo and getting it out into the world came with some challenges. I'll specifically be focusing on some final additions made to the game for the demo's release, some of the steps involved in making a Steam page, and whatever other nonsense my stressed out mind can conjure up for this script. Now, before we dive headfirst into this nonsense, there's one thing we ought to do first. No, this isn't a sponsored bit. I'm not popular enough for that. I'm instead suggesting that before you watch this video, please head on over to the What Hides in Dreams Steam page and play through the demo yourself. Link is in the description below, of course, and I'm sure I'll pin a comment with the link as well. I think playing through the demo will help you better appreciate some of the things I'm about to talk about, and I really want people playing this thing. That validates me more than anything else. Go on, download it, have fun, and don't poop your pants. Then when you're finished, come on back here. All done? Great. Let's get into it then. My name is Lance, aka Infinite Level, and I just released a demo for my psychological horror game called What Hides in Dreams, which you have definitely played by now. And these were some of the final steps taken to release my game's demo. Without a doubt, the biggest new addition to the game is the newly implemented voice acting. Now, those who have been watching these devlogs for a while might be a little puzzled. Mr. Game Dev, I hear you say, didn't you say that you were too cheap, poor, and lazy to add voice acting to your game? I mean, not in those exact words, but yes, I did say that. So what changed? Well, I didn't win the lottery, and my last game didn't suddenly make $1 billion, so it wasn't my finances. Instead, the idea to re-evaluate if my game truly couldn't have voice acting came from an unlikely place. Disco Elysium. That's right, I, a person making a first-person psychological horror game, got inspired by a primarily text-based role-playing game with no combat about a detective with the worst hangover in the world. To tell you more about how I was inspired, I gotta delve into some light spoilers for Disco Elysium. Nothing crazy, just an event that occurs at the end of day 1, but, you know, spoiler alert and all that. Here's a timestamp if you really want to avoid spoilers. In Disco Elysium, there's a dream sequence at the end of the game's first day where you are confronted by this creepy nightmare version of yourself, replacing the hanged man normally seen in the Whirling in Rags courtyard. You proceed to converse with this dream figure, and he's quick to let you know that your life sucks, you're a failure, and you smell bad.
Stinky boy.
It's a great scene, my favorite in the whole game, and one I think about often. Well, as I played through this, I thought to myself, what if I did something like that? And then another thought occurred to me. There are plans for a character like this in my own game. And then there was one more thought after that, one that I bet you've thought of yourself. I'm talking into a microphone, like right now. Seriously, what's stopping me from doing my own voice acting? Well, okay, there is my extremely awkward voice getting in the way, but other than that, why not? Let's give it a try. And so I did. So, for the next couple of weeks, I wrote up some dialogue for this character, then tried out a few different voices to see what worked best. As you'll have noticed in the demo, which you definitely played, the voice in question isn't exactly one-to-one with my normal speaking voice. I'm very self-conscious about how I sound, so I covered it up a bit with some audio effects and editing. This means having duplicate tracks with varying pitch, and a subtle whisper track that plays alongside the normal voice to give it some extra spookiness. Then I just combine it all together and balance the combined audio as needed. Here's a little before and after of the voice acting, and try not to cringe at the raw audio too hard.
Beggars desire mercy. We have none to give. Step upon their heads and lift us higher.
Beggars desire mercy. We have none to give. Step upon their heads and lift us higher.
Now, I mentioned that this is for a character in the game, one that's not going to get fully revealed until the finished game. So for now, I'm not going to get into too much detail about why he talks the way he does, or what his relevance to the overall story will be. Instead, let's talk about the other elements that make up these voice segments. To complete the presentation, I took the time to create this vignette surrounding the player view to help signify when the character is speaking, alongside an adjusted field of view and slowing the player down so they could absorb the voice acting, and also so they don't break things by being able to trigger other events while this guy is talking. There's also this droning noise that plays alongside the voice, and a delightful scream that plays when triggering the voice. It all comes together to make this.
We can still feel it. No matter where I travel, there will always be staring. You will always be the center of everyone's world.
In making this feature, I feel I've done two things. First, I now have a tool to address the issue of players not wanting to read things to absorb story. There is still going to be story notes, and they will be important, but this at least gives me a new vehicle to communicate story with. Secondly, I believe this makes What Hides in Dreams feel like it has a bit more production value. I'm still working with a teeny tiny budget, but this allows me to give off the illusion of higher production values, which will hopefully come across in the new trailer I made. That's a hope anyway. I could also just be full of myself. Next up is the Steam page, or rather, pages. The demo for What Hides in Dreams has its own Steam page, though for the most part it's just a copy of the original game's Steam page. I didn't have to do it this way, but setting the demo as its own Steam page allows users to leave reviews for the demo itself, which seems like a good idea to me. Please review the demo on Steam, by the way, it helps me a lot. Part of making a demo page involves creating a bunch of new Steam assets signifying that the game is a demo. So I took all my pre-existing assets and just slapped the word demo on them. Hey, I paid for this art and you bet your iced honey buns that I'm gonna use it. Now the demo page isn't getting all the attention. I also took some time to update several screenshots for the main games page too, in part because a lot of elements have since been adjusted, and simply because there's just more material for screenshots now than when I first made the Steam page around this time last year. I changed out a few screenshots to focus instead on the content actually playable in the demo, and of course included the new trailer. After that, it was just a matter of going through Valve's verifications, and now, anyone can freely download the demo. There were also a handful of minor additions made for the game. The first of these is a gamma correction menu, similar to what other horror games have. I decided to make this after repeated criticisms of the game being too dark, and I'm not saying that isn't true, by the way, it's still something I'm working on balancing out. But in the meantime, I figured that it would help a lot if players could adjust the game's display to be brighter or darker. You think the game is dark to the point of being obnoxious? Well, go on then. Move that gamma slider up, I ain't the boss of you. This is also just good to have as an option for the user in case their displays have a gamma that's different from the average. Next up is this heartbeat sound that plays when the player is near a monster, like so. This was mostly done to help increase the tension during gameplay, but it does double as a kind of tracking mechanic. Plus, I can also use it to trick the player into scaring themselves further, something I do in the old house level. While it won't tell you where a monster is, it does increase in volume the closer you get to a monster. So if you want to open a door but you're not sure if the monster is on the other side, then you just need to listen to your heart. The heartbeat sounds also get more rapid depending on if the monster is in searching, alert, or chase states. This way, the pace of the heartbeat matches the action occurring in-game. There's also this completely new element that I refer to internally as a story diary. So because you most definitely played my game's demo, you'll hopefully know that death leaves scars in What Hides in Dreams. This refers to how death, both the players and the monsters, can affect the game's narrative, which will hopefully add a lot more bite to player failure and other actions. The thing is, a lot of those consequences aren't immediately obvious. Observant players may notice something like the text on the wife's photo changing based on the outcome of the old house level, but that's easily missable. And I don't mind players missing things, but the game-defining feature should probably be more obvious. As it is currently designed, a lot of the payoffs for level outcomes don't reveal themselves until you're near the end of the game. which obviously isn't great for a demo where I'm ultimately trying to persuade you to wishlist and eventually purchase the game. So to help players understand the impact of Death Leaves Scars, I created the Story Diary. It's basically a variation of the story note, which indeed does mean more reading, but it seems like the most effective way to communicate story changes. Simply, the Story Diary tells a roughly chronological story of the main character's life, revealing new bits of information as players complete levels. The text is prone to change, however, and will update itself depending on what happened in a corresponding level. So escaping the office level may look like this, while dying to the monster of that same level reads a bit more like this. I've thought about ways that this could be further expanded too, but for right now, its purpose is simply to highlight how your actions have changed our protagonist's past, present, and eventual future in a way that's clear to see. Hopefully then, the impact of escape, monster death, and player death makes itself more apparent, and players can have their own individual stories about what their version of the protagonist ultimately went through. I'm hoping that the demo is in a state where additional maintenance isn't really needed, but just in case, I'll be keeping an eye on things and updating the demo if need be. Feel free to use either the comments here on this video or the feedback post on Steam to post any thoughts on the demo, positive and negative. I need all the feedback I can get. Otherwise, it's back to the work of making the game for me, starting with creating a new level. A few bits of housekeeping before we go, though. First, do leave a review of the demo on Steam if you find yourself with a spare moment. Reviews not only help me know what's good and bad about my game, but it's also a great way to get the game in front of more people. So if you like my demo and think other people should play it, then the best way to do that is to go leave a review of the demo on Steam. Second, my previous game, The Future Project, will be partaking in the Metroidvania Fusion event starting November 3rd. That's today. Yes, that means discounts, so if you want to tide yourself over with my previous game while waiting for this one, then that would be the time to do so. And finally, the usual YouTube shtick. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you hated it, and subscribe if you want to see more monthly devlogs. If you've made it this far to the video and you've not yet played the demo, well, what are you doing? I gave you clear instructions at the beginning! Go play the demo already! And have fun. Until next time.